This article was sent to me by Craig J, and we are about to head out to Utah, better known to me and to many others as the Mormon State, where you had 10 Utah police officers who were just disciplined, and I have to question what kind of disciplinary action they actually got, for lying, doing drugs, and helping an inmate make a shank. Now, the reason why I have this picture up here where it says Peace Officer Standards and Training is because I guess this is the organization that's over it. And when I was trying to find an actual department to talk about, so many came up. And based on how much I've read so far into the article, no specific department was actually listed. So I don't want to put the wrong department up there. So I think it's like a culmination of all the different departments rolled into one for this particular meeting. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article. It states, Utah's police certifying agency disciplined police officers and talked about the Wuhan and at its meeting Thursday. Director Scott Stevenson told the Peace Officer Standard and Training, also known as POST, council members Thursday that they are pushing to get recruits trained, working extra hours, and using online courses so new officers can hit the streets. And for those who are just beginning the certification process, Stevenson said they have shifted all of the coursework online. But social distancing means only so many can take the physical test at the same time. State officials request to refrain from gathering in large groups didn't stop police regulators from doling out discipline on Thursday. 10 police officers were punished during the quarterly meeting, which was held via a telephone conference rather than in person. Now here's where they were. Here's who was disciplined. Now they don't have the pictures of the officers who were disciplined. They just have their names. Neil Anderson's certification was revoked after regulators said he lied about consuming a sucker laced with marijuana and stealing a television during the application process with the Utah Department of Corrections. He had a previous disciplinary history with POST. Department of Corrections officer Jordan Bradford's certification was suspended for 6 months after he provided an inmate with a toothbrush and watched as the inmate sharpened it to make a shank. He threw it in the garbage can and told regulators Thursday that he had gave the inmate the toothbrush to learn how they were manufactured weapons in prison. He says, "I made a mistake." Silver Brown, who was currently employed by Brigham Young University's police department, had his certification suspended for 3.5 years after regulators said he falsified records by claiming he worked hours that he didn't and then lied about it while employed by the Utah Highway Patrol. On Thursday, he maintained that it was a mix-up and he didn't intend to lie about the hours he worked. Now he knows he was lying. He was stealing hours to get more money. Because believe it or not, police officers don't make that much money. And if you live in a particular area, depending on what the cost of living is, you probably really don't make that much. I can't honestly say I mixed up the details. I was trying to pull memories from months earlier. That's the honest truth. Former Syracuse police officer Sean Fox was suspended for 2.5 years after reporting to his employer that he had never been disciplined in past jobs when he had received verbal and written warnings in the past. Joseph Halls, who worked for the Utah County Sheriff's Office, was suspended for 9 months after he said he had booked items into evidence when he didn't. When he later found those items, a coin in one case and a woman's necklace in another, in his patrol car, he threw them in the trash. It was a mistake. Are they all going to say it was a mistake now? He says, "I feel like I'm a good cop and I love my job." Notice he says he feels like he's a good cop. Not that he is, but he feels like he is one. Roger Hill, formerly with Toole County Sheriff's Office, was given a 2.5-year suspension after police were called to his home after he had an argument with his wife and they found illegal steroids. He told investigators that he had been injecting himself with the steroids to prepare for a bodybuilding competition. Charles Hoffman, who had been employed with the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, had his certification revoked for lying about speaking to officers from another police agency about a case that had been moved from his department to theirs to avoid a conflict of interest. James Houghton, with the Utah Constable Services, had his license revoked for lying about an incident where he flashed his badge at a passing vehicle and told them to slow down and that he was watching them. He denied ever showing the car his badge, but the people in the other vehicle said he did. Kyle Maddox, with the Washington County Sheriff's Office, had his license suspended for 3 years after lying about eating marijuana edibles and smoking a joint during a New Year's party. He initially said that they had put the joint to his lips but didn't inhale. Sure. But later said that he did inhale the smoke. And he too says, like the rest of them, I made a mistake. It was never the intent to lie. That was the only time I ever used marijuana, and I don't know how to describe smoking or inhaling it. Something tells me he just lied in his so-called apology. Benjamin Wolford, with the Utah Department of Natural Resources, had his license suspended for 1.5 years after falsifying meal allowance forms. And those are the people that they decide to hire in these departments. And I'm willing to bet you that is a lot more that goes on in many of these other departments. And because Utah is not really talked about as far as police departments go, because they're not up there with, say, your LAPDs, your NYPD, Chicago PD, Baltimore PD. Like, that's the square right there that I always talk about. Doesn't mean these other departments are low. I guess you can throw the Texas Rangers in there, but they're under a different agency. But yeah, and notice all of these guys, they're some kind of law enforcement in some way, but they come from different departments. They're not often the same ones, but it just shows you right there that even Utah has its dirty cops, whether they're low tier or mid tier. But that's really all I have for this particular story right here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Have your notifications turned on. And one last thing I'm going to do before I end this video, the only thing I guess that's really surprising about this is the fact that these guys actually had some kind of disciplinary action taken against them. Because what started off as small or lightweight to them could lead into something that could escalate into something more dangerous, like taking an innocent person's life.